Hey Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Where are we today?
We're in Selma, California, heart of the Central Valley, visiting a company you possibly haven't heard of called Ethylene Control. So I'm actually really excited because these guys are huge in produce and floral, and they're starting to get some interest in the cannabis and hemp space. So, you know, I thought it would be a really good idea to bring them on the Grow Stuff Insider and show you guys the technology. Gotta love that it's OMRI listed. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Is Dave in?
Yeah, he's right back there.
Awesome. Hey, Dave.
How you
Good to
doing?
see you. How you
Good to
been?
see you. Can't complain.
Awesome.
Still
You look good.
Thank you. For an old guy, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Good, good. You want to see around?
Please, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow you.
Get back here. Steven, this is our zeolite, which is a raw product. This is what we get. It's mined. We get it from a mine, shipped in on truckloads of all these super sacks. And that's the basic product. That's how it comes in. And that's what it is before we mix it with the active ingredient.
This is what it looks like before you impregnate it.
Right.
I see. Okay.
This has just come from the mine. They sift it, they send it to us, and that's what it starts out.
So it might be a silly question. I'm dying to know the process and what the different products are, but just for myself and the viewers, what is ethylene? What is ethylene gas? Why would a grower, specifically a cannabis grower, or your existing customers, how do they come across you? What is this thing?
That's a good question, because you took, say, 37 years ago, I didn't know what ethylene was, and I started this almost 36 years ago, and then I had a quick learning. And you find a lot of people that are in the business, for the produce business, that they know what temperature and humidity are, but they don't know what ethylene removal is, and that's really the third most important thing to have. And ethylene is something that's produced by certain products, like or commodities, I should say, like apples, pears, the smell you smell. The ethylene is used to gas tomatoes and gas avocados and gas bananas. But ethylene is also produced by internal combustion engines and lighting. Fluorescent lights produce ethylene gas, and like say cigarette smoke did. And it's a gas, kind of an invisible gas, I guess, that's the same weight as air, and it will move around through the room and through walls. It'll actually penetrate through concrete walls, and it destroys the fruit, the flowers. It just makes it decay faster. So we just slow down that natural dying process by taking the ethylene gas out of the air. And the cannabis and hemp industry, we started getting calls a few years ago about our machine, because certain times you want ethylene gas, but then you don't want it to get more females. And still, I'm learning this part of it. So that's how we found out. Just about 3 years ago, we started selling it in Colorado, California, Oregon. Yeah. And we started getting these orders, and it wasn't produce, but nobody told me what it was. So it took a while, and then we found out. So we're learning too.
And I would imagine it would translate similar, and this is obviously anecdotal, it's just in my mind, if it's helping produce and floral for the decay side of things, I would imagine from the cannabis side, as soon as you harvest that plant, it's immediately starting to degrade.
Right. They
So
start
I would
dying as soon
think-
as it's harvested, just like produce.
I would think in a
flowers.
storage or in a trimming room or even in a drying room, it's probably pretty wise to have these ethylene control products.
It's cheap insurance, as I tell people. Just to put it in there, and then you get rid of the ethylene, plus you're taking care of some of the mold.
So that's a whole byproduct. So not only are you removing the ethylene, but you also have the scrubber in the corner that's scrubbing constantly for any mold,
Anything
mildew.
goes across it, yes, mold, mildew, viruses.
Right.
It's been proven to kill viruses, and it also removes the odors.
So in its natural form, without you controlling it, so ethylene is more or less like while it's ripening, right? Once the produce has been
Certain
harvested.
produce is, once it's harvested, it starts dying or decaying. And ethylene is produced by certain commodities. Some are sensitive, some are not sensitive, but some produce a lot. It's all over the board. So it's like bananas. Say they use ethylene gas to gas bananas after they get them here from Central America. But like that's when we ship stone fruit to Japan or something. We want they have to pick the fruit greener because it's going to be going on a long journey.
Right.
Well, and then they put our sachet in there just to keep it. By the time it gets there, it's pretty ripe and ready to eat.
Right. Okay.
And so ethylene gas is a good thing when you need it, and then other times it's a bad thing. You need to take it out of the air. So we take it out of the air with our products.
I see.
And also the molds, rots, and bacteria.
And so being in the Central Valley, in the heart of it, you're around all the growers, packers, and shippers. So it makes sense geographically where you're located.
Oh yeah, I mean, as we know, we feed a lot of the United States from Central California here.
Right. So you take this, you impregnate it,
We mix
and
it,
then you
the
run
mixer.
it through this machine here?
Right. Media is a zeolite impregnated with potassium permanganate, and it actually produces a nascent oxygen that oxidizes ethylene gas, is the main thing in the air, and then it also kills molds, rots, bacteria, viruses, salmonella, you name it, all kinds of microbials. So the shaker feeds down the media through the shaker, and then it sifts out. As you can see, the fines we're going over here into this bucket,
Right.
which isn't very much, but just that way it's a cleaner product and everything. And we run it through sometimes before we even mix it with the media in the mixer, but this way we get a good quality product.
Oh, that's great.
And it's the strongest product in the market. It's been tested by UC Davis and proven to be one of the strongest product in the market.
So
Environmentally friendly. I
how
always
long
like
does
that.
the media generally last?
You know, it depends on what's in the room. Like you take a 100,000 cubic foot room, 80 by 50 foot room, and say 25 foot ceiling. That media, if it's all apples in there, the media might last 2 to 3 months. If it's all kiwi in there or lettuce, something that's not producing ethylene, it might last 8 to 10 months. It reacts to the ethylene that's in the air.
I see.
So the more ethylene, the quicker it goes.
Sure.
But it's easy to do. I just take out a half a handful of media out of the machine that I'll show you later and grind it up with their foot, and when it's 75% brown instead of being purple, and it's time to order new media.
I see. So the media starts out purple, and so visually you're looking for a color change.
Right.
I
It
see.
starts out white. It's a zeolite, which is a volcanic rock, and it's like a molecular sieve. It has a lot of surface area.
Okay.
And that's why we can get around 5%, 6% permanganate in there, which is the active ingredient.
Okay.
But again, it's very you could.
And that's what you mean. You're impregnating the zeolite.
Right.
Okay.
That's what we do in the mixer, and then we bring it in here and shake it, and then we make our products. These are our filters that they are used in trucks, sea containers, walk-ins, different uses for smaller rooms. We have the filters here, and then we have the blanket filter, which I'll show you inside too. That are the same thing. It's just this is a more efficient, more expensive filter compared to the one over there.
So it's a bed of the media.
Yes, it's 50% filled. Jesse will put it in the shaker, and they'll fill up one half of the side. There's the media. Here's the cardboard here. This is the shaker. Nothing fancy, but you take and fill up. Put screen. Window screen goes on one side, and then you take and fill this side up with media, 100%. Then you glue it to the other side, and then you've got a 50% fill. That way, when it falls down, you've got a lot of airspace, and you can get airflow across it to get it to work.
Because that's the key, is you want air going through
Right.
the media.
Right, we hang these like behind, say in a walk-in, you go in a restaurant or in a supermarket, walk in the back rooms. You hang this behind the coils. The fans pull the air through it, or you can hang it in front of the fans and the air blows through it.
Okay.
And that's where you get your reaction to
So
oxidize.
this must be very popular, like you're saying, shipping containers or
Right.
reefer
A lot
trucks.
of go to Pacific Rim and go to Europe and everything. They use that. If they don't use our little sachet, which goes, and I'll show you that inside too. That those are made over here in those machines.
Yeah, let's
right
check
over
this
here
out real
are
quick.
our sachet machines.
So same deal. You take the media, it's been filtered for the small particulate, you put it in the top hopper.
Right. It feeds down into it, and then depending, we set the sizes here, whether we want a 5 gram, a 9 gram, or a 20 gram, or a 28 gram sachet. And that way it determines, it cuts them every one. There's 500 in one side, and then it flips over and 500 in the other side, and then they're in bags and seal them up with a twist tie and throw them in a box. And they'll last for, like I say, I found some that were 7, 8 years old that were still fine because you could tell they were still bright purple on the outside.
Right. This is awesome, Dave. Really, it's fun to see you. It's fun to meet you. You know, it's fun to come by here. How did this all start?
You know, back in the 80s, there was a fellow coming through from Canada that was selling the little sachets like here for kiwi growers. And I saw the idea, and he just did it for a couple of years. And I said, well, wait a minute, I can do something like that. So I designed the machine, I designed these other products, and just we started with just kiwi. And then all of a sudden I got with UC Davis and Gordon Mitchell. He's passed away from now and retired right after that. But we looked at stone fruit, which is the peaches, plums, and nectarines, which is a lot around in the area. So we found it worked with that. And then it just kind of evolved into one other product. Then mangoes or different products, tomatoes, and just cucumbers because they turn yellow, lettuce because it turns brown.
We're here in the Central Valley, huge growers, huge cold storage. So that's where the machine evolved.
That's what
you're tackling at the room level.
Right. This is our EC3, and there's two 50-pound boxes, so you put 100 pounds in this hopper on the top. It has a motor and blower in the bottom. It pulls the air in through here, forces the air up through the diverter and through the media at about 500 cubic feet a minute to get the reaction time up through the stack and into the room. And it works in conjunction with your air movement in the room because you have to have good air movement because you need uniform temperatures.
Right.
I know a friend of mine that runs a cold storage. They've got meters in each corner, thermometers in a sense that tells he can look on the computer and say, okay, this is 32, or this is 33 if you have to move it. But they have to keep uniform temperatures. So I just said, okay, we'll just work in conjunction with that. We just put it one into the room, take an ethylene reading before we put it in, and then we go back a week later and take one by the machine at the other end, which are virtually the same, and they're either 80 to 95% lower.
And so that flagship product, that is the super fresh media.
Right. That's the product we started, in 1986 is when I started, and working out of my house and back of my pickup.
Wow.
And but now we've evolved into where we make everything in-house. When we first, about 3 years ago, we started getting all of a sudden these calls, and they're buying these machines. And we just sold them, and I wasn't really involved as much in sales, and the sales staff would take care of it. And I said, well, wonder what they're using them for. And then, long story short, we find out that they like using them in greenhouses because you do want ethylene gas a certain amount of time, but then you want to get rid of all of it.
Mm-hmm. What I find fascinating about ethylene gas is the fact that it's odorless. We mentioned this before. Odorless, you can't see it. It's colorless. It's the same weight as air. But the most important thing that I think is so strange is that it's like Casper the Friendly Ghost. It travels right through walls. And so these cold storage rooms, as insulated as they are, it still can travel through that wall and affect the adjacent zone.
Right. It can affect that. That's why you want it. You don't want to put commodities next to each other if you can split them off and keep them separate.
Your super fresh product, I think, is really cool. I would like to hear more actually about the Stay Fresh, which I think is pretty interesting as well for the cannabis application or hemp application. And it's a chlorine dioxide.
We have actually 3 basic products. We have one what's called a wipeout bag, and it simply treats a room like you can take a room, a grow room or whatever you want before you put anything in it. Take this in there just to clean up the room, and it's 2 parts. And all you do is, so it's not doing anything now, but you pull the 2 tabs on each side and let this mix together.
Creates a reaction.
And then you hang it, and it shows that the arrow points up, so you've got to hang it to where you can just hang it in a bunker, or you can hang it up by behind the fans, anywhere in the room that you can get a little bit of air movement around. So you want air movement with all our products to make them work more efficiently. The other thing is we have a tab and then a twist tie. You just put it through that hole in the tab and just hang it. You can hang it up anywhere. It's just real simple.
Right.
And then this one, 24 hours. You can be in the room. If it's a big room, you could be in it, but prefer you just put it in there, separate it, and then walk out of the room, come back the next day.
Okay, so this here 24-hour wipeout pouch.
Right.
So that, I could imagine, would be great for after a harvest when you take down a room. A lot of growers clean the wall, they bleach the walls, they clean the trays, they flush the irrigation lines. That's an easy standard operating procedure.
This does it all for you and gets all the nooks and crannies.
All the small, hard to reach places.
Right, and then it's going to hit everything but no residue. This is just the same thing. Virtually, it's the same bag. It's just the chemistry is different to where this lasts 30 to 60 days.
So this
is just a maintenance bag, it's called.
I see. You're
So
using this every day.
And with anything in it, people in it every day.
Food safe.
Yeah, and no residue. Again, no residue, but people be working in it. It's not going to leave any residue on the product.
Right.
You know, hemp, cannabis, whatever. It's the other product. Now, this is the third one of the Stay Fresh products. This is called a big bag, and it's 90 days. And it's all we do is throw this into the machine here on top of our media.
Mm-hmm.
So then the air goes through the machine. It goes through our media, and whatever it gets in the media will kill molds, rots, bacteria, and we've got lab tests that we did to kill all the molds. And then it goes through the media, like I said, to kill that and remove odors. And then it takes this bag, is releasing the chlorine dioxide. It takes that out into the room and scrubs the room from the walls, the floors, the ceiling, and everything in between.
So is it fair to say chlorine dioxide is food safe, human safe? You can use it in a preventative maintenance or a continuous maintenance or a total wipeout. But is it fair to say it destroys powdery mildew, botrytis, gray mold, fusarium, pythium?
Everyone, you can name it, it'll kill it.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I want to keep hearing your feedback from your initial cannabis and hemp clients. I definitely want to keep in the loop on more of your product development. I know we're excited to start carrying your product and start offering to our market. And, I'm hoping that videos like this can help educate the consumer on ethylene control and what ethylene gas is and chlorine dioxide. And
well,
it's game-changing.
You can educate me on the cannabis hemp industry because, like I said, that's new to us, but we're really proud to be a part of it, and I think this is gonna explode in that industry.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's something they need. I can see that just from
Big time.
The little contact I've had.
Thanks again for having us, really.
Thank you for coming.
I look forward to following up with you. And for any of you viewers out there, you can find these products on monstergardens.com. This is Dave from Ethylene Control. Till next time.
Thank you. That we called the inflow division, where we made money in that other building. Right. This was the outflow, as a race car shop.
Oh, now you're talking my friggin'...
That's what I told you. This is all our trophies from when we were racing.
What did you race?
That's great, I love that.
Yeah, that guy made that. I wasn't even aware of it. My ex-wife got it for me. Chris, well, I paid for it, I'm sure. It's just that the guy was down here hanging around.
Oh, I see.
It's
oval tracks, right, okay.
Strictly because it's 70%, or they went to 68% left side weight. So
right.
We'll race asphalt ovals.
Right.
Anywhere from a quarter mile to a mile.
Yep.
Like we set the world record for the mile. Yeah.